Okay, so get this. We're diving into hybrid today.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and it's like it throws you right into this scenario where you come back from a peaceful solo vamping trip expecting like the comforts of home, but instead things are just off.
Oh, I see what you mean.
And it makes you wonder, like, how would you react if you walked through the door and found yourself staring at your own evil twin?
Well, that's the hook hybrid uses to, like, grab you right away
Right.
from the start.
Yeah.
It blends, like, the anxieties of a home invasion with this unsettling doppelganger element.
Oh, yeah.
And then it throws in a little dash of alien conspiracy for good measure.
Right. It's like a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
So it all starts with Sarah arriving home, and we get this immediate sense of dread because everything that should be comforting is just wrong.
Yeah, the author does a great job of using those sensory details
Oh.
to build that feeling. Like, remember how Sarah expects that familiar scent of home?
Yeah.
Maybe like a hint of pine from the woods she's been in. But instead, she gets hit with this wave of disinfectant and something metallic, almost like blood. It's subtle,
Yes.
but it immediately tells you something's terribly wrong.
And the silence is deafening.
Oh, yeah.
No loving husband greeting her at the door. Her usually rambunctious dog Baxter is nowhere to be seen. It's like the house itself is holding its breath, waiting for something awful to happen.
Right. And we're led to believe that Baxter might be the source of that metallic scent,
Oh, God.
which is disturbing enough.
I know.
But then we find him upstairs, completely out of character, like he's been replaced.
Yeah.
This is where that fear of the unknown starts to creep in. We don't just get the break in routine, we get a break in reality.
And then, bam, the ultimate twist.
Yeah.
She comes face to face with another Sarah, her doppelganger. Talk about a homecoming surprise you never want to experience.
No kidding.
Ah.
This is where the story takes that psychological turn.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. The description of the doppelganger is so chillingly effective. Identical to Sarah in every physical detail.
Yep.
But with this one crucial difference. The eyes, they're described as emotionless. Like a chilling, empty expanse, almost inhuman.
It's like looking into a mirror that reflects something monstrous back at you.
Exactly. That detail alone tells us this isn't just some harmless twin situation.
Right. And then, to make things even more unsettling, Mark appears.
Yeah.
Visibly shaken and clearly trapped in this terrifying situation. He keeps trying to reassure Sarah that everything will be okay.
Oh, yeah.
But his words feel hollow.
The way Mark acts throughout this whole scene makes it clear that he's not in control.
Right.
He's a puppet, and someone else is pulling the strings. And then, of course, we get the doppelganger's chilling statement. Everything will be much easier if you cooperate. Not a request, but a command, delivered with that eerie calmness.
Yeah.
It sets the stakes incredibly high right from the start.
The tension is already so thick you could cut it with a knife. And this is only the beginning. Sarah, of course, is in total disbelief, struggling to process what's happening. I think we can all relate to that feeling of complete disorientation when your world suddenly turns upside down.
What's really clever about this setup is how hybrid taps into our primal fears.
Okay.
We've got the fear of the unknown, the fear of losing control, and perhaps most terrifying of all, the fear of being replaced by something that looks exactly like us, but is fundamentally not us.
You said it.
Yeah.
It makes my skin crawl just thinking about it. But okay, the story doesn't let us catch our breath for long. Things escalate quickly from this point.
Yeah. Hybrid wastes no time.
No.
Throwing us into the action.
Yeah.
We see Sarah desperately trying to escape.
Right.
But the doppelganger is unbelievably strong and fast. It's immediately clear this is no ordinary adversary.
It's like she's up against a supernatural force, which is terrifying in itself. And then we get these glimpses into Sarah's memories from her camping trip. Remember that strange light in the woods, the impossible video on her phone? These are clues that something was already in motion before she even arrived home.
Those elements add a whole other layer to the mystery and dread. The story reveals information in pieces.
I know, it's so good.
Like a puzzle box slowly opening, which keeps us hooked.
Yeah.
But at this point, we still don't have the full picture, who or what is behind all of this.
Right.
And why Sarah.
And let's not forget the ominous they who keep being mentioned.
Oh, yeah, they.
Who are these puppet masters orchestrating this whole terrifying scenario? What's their connection to the doppelganger? And why is Mark caught in the middle? It feels like we're peeling back layers of a conspiracy that's bigger and more sinister than we could have imagined.
Then, just when you think things couldn't get any weirder, we're introduced to these alien creatures. It's like the story slams the door on any sense of normalcy and throws us headfirst into a sci-fi horror film.
Talk about a plot twist.
Right.
It's as if the author took everything we thought we knew about the story and threw it out the window. The description of these beings is so vivid and unsettling. Can you remind us what they looked like?
They're depicted as hulking, hairless figures with eyes like black pits and skin the color of ash. It's a stark contrast to the more human-like appearance of the doppelganger.
Right.
And that just adds another layer of unsettling strangeness to the whole situation.
And it's not just their appearance, it's how they move and communicate that's truly disturbing. Their actions are calculated and methodical, devoid of any emotion, which makes their intentions even more terrifying.
Yeah.
It's clear that they have a plan for Sarah, and it's definitely not a good one.
And that brings us to their integration plan.
Ooh, yeah.
Which takes this story to a whole new level of creepy. Yeah. Remember, up until this point, we're in the dark about their motives. But now the true purpose of the doppelganger and the alien's sinister plan is revealed.
Here's where hybrid gets really interesting.
Oh.
They're not just content with replacing Sarah, they want to use her as a host for something else entirely. It's like they're treating her like a science experiment.
Right. The reveal of that syringe, filled with a strange catalyst, is a turning point in the story. We learn that this substance is meant to speed up integration with the host, and that Sarah's doppelganger was actually a failed first attempt. Can you imagine the horror of realizing that you're essentially being prepped for a forced takeover of your body and mind?
It's absolutely chilling. And then there's Mark's role in all of this.
Yeah.
He's torn between protecting his wife and obeying these mysterious forces. His justifications for betraying Sarah are heartbreaking and highlight how fear can drive people to do unthinkable things.
It's a complicated situation, isn't it?
It is.
It's easy to judge Mark.
Yeah.
But if you put yourself in his shoes, facing this impossible situation, forced to choose between your own safety and the safety of the person you love, it's a moral dilemma that really makes you think.
Absolutely. And this whole scenario, as outlandish as it seems, actually has some intriguing parallels to real-world conspiracy theories. The ideas of alien abductions, hybrid beings, secret government experiments, these concepts have been captivating our imaginations for decades.
It makes you wonder, doesn't it?
It really does.
Sometimes truth is stranger than fiction. Stories like Hybrid play on those anxieties and uncertainties we all have about the world around us.
I think so, too.
And this fear of the unknown is magnified when Sarah is faced with the prospect of being integrated. But even in this moment of unimaginable terror, she manages to find a way to fight back.
That's what's so inspiring about Sarah.
Yeah.
She's resourceful, quick-witted, and refuses to give up even when all hope seems lost. She embodies that true survivor spirit. She pretends to cooperate using her intelligence to buy herself some time, and then in a moment of pure desperation, she grabs a broken picture frame and uses it as a weapon. It's a reminder that sometimes the simplest things can be the most effective when it comes to survival.
It's a brilliant move on her part. She understands that she can't overpower these creatures with brute force. So she uses her understanding of human behavior, even if these beings aren't entirely human, to exploit their weaknesses. And then, of course, we have Mark's unexpected act of defiance, tackling one of the creatures and giving Sarah a chance to escape.
That was a twist I did not see coming.
I know, right?
After everything we've seen Mark do to see him turn against the creatures and try to protect Sarah, it really makes you question his true motivations and loyalties. Was it genuine remorse or a last-ditch effort to save himself? It adds a whole new layer of complexity to his character.
It certainly does. And with that, we're left with Sarah running for her life into the darkness, escaping the chaos and uncertainty of her home. It's a heart-stopping cliffhanger that leaves you desperate to know what happens next.
So to recap in this first part of Hybrid, we've been thrown into a world where nothing is what it seems. We've got a strong-willed protagonist fighting for her life, a shadowy conspiracy that's only just beginning to reveal itself, and a whole lot of unanswered questions.
Who are they and what do they want? What will become of Mark and Baxter? And most importantly, will Sarah survive this terrifying ordeal? These are questions we'll be exploring as we continue our deep dive into Hybrid. But before we move on to the next section, I want to pose a question to you. If you were in Sarah's shoes facing an unimaginable threat, what skills or resources would you prioritize for survival?
That's a great question to consider. We'd love to hear your thoughts and theories as we continue to unpack this incredible story together.
It's like when Sarah escapes into the woods. It kind of mirrors her arrival home.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, both scenes use those sensory details, but the tone has shifted dramatically.
That's true. In the beginning, there's that underlying sense of unease when
Hmm.
she's in the forest. But now it's become like a sanctuary,
Right?
a place of temporary safety. It's like the woods are reflecting Sarah's emotional state, almost becoming a character in the story.
Exactly. And notice how the darkness becomes this tool for suspense. The trees are blurry shapes, the sounds of pursuit echoing in the distance. We're right there with Sarah, experiencing her fear and desperation.
It's like we're thrown into this primal chase scene stripped down to its barest elements. Predator and prey.
Right.
The author really taps into that fear
Yeah.
of being hunted, being alone and vulnerable in the dark.
And as Sarah flees, we get these glimpses into her thoughts and feelings.
Yeah.
We see the physical and emotional toll this experience is taking on her. She's injured, exhausted, and traumatized.
That's a lot.
Yet she keeps pushing forward.
Her determination to survive is incredible.
Yeah.
It makes you wonder, like, what's going through her mind as she runs?
Yeah.
What are her plans? Where can she possibly go? What would you do if you were in her shoes?
That's one of the things that makes hybrids so compelling.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't spoon-feed us answers.
No.
Instead, we're forced to think alongside Sarah. Consider the limited options she has
Right.
and the difficult choices she's forced to make. It's like we're participating in the story, trying to figure out how to survive right alongside her.
And then that ending with her disappearing into the darkness. Talk about a cliffhanger. It leaves us hanging, wondering what's next for Sarah. How is she going to fight back against these forces that seem so much more powerful than her? How do you even begin to fight back against something that can literally replace you?
That's the question that drives the rest of the story, and one we'll be unpacking as we continue our deep dive. But before we move on, I think it's important to pause and consider some of the broader themes at play in Hybrid.
Yeah.
So far, we've been focusing on the plot, the twists and turns that keep us on the edge of our seats.
Right.
But Hybrid is more than just a thrilling survival story. It's a story that makes you think.
Okay, I'm ready to go deeper. What are some of the underlying messages or ideas that you're seeing in this story so far?
Well, on one level, Hybrid is a classic tale of survival against impossible odds.
Yeah.
But it also delves into some really profound questions about identity trust and the nature of reality itself.
Ooh, I like where this is going. I love how this story operates on multiple levels. It's entertaining and suspenseful, but it also makes you think about these bigger issues that are relevant to all of us.
Exactly.
Yeah, right.
For example, think about how Sarah is confronted with a physical copy of herself, a being that looks exactly like her, but is completely alien in nature.
Right.
It forces her to question her own identity. What makes her unique? What makes her her? It's like that age-old philosophical question, what makes us human? Is it our physical appearance, our memories, our emotions, our experiences? Hybrid takes that question and twists it into this terrifying and thought-provoking scenario.
It's almost like looking in a mirror and seeing a stranger staring back at you, someone who has stolen your face but has none of your substance.
Right.
And then there's the whole theme of trust. Sarah's entire world is shattered when she discovers that her husband, the person she should be able to rely on most, has betrayed her. That's got to be one of the most devastating things a person can experience.
Absolutely. It makes you question the very foundation of relationships, the limit of loyalty, and the difficult choices we sometimes have to make when faced with extraordinary pressure. Think about it. If you were in Mark's position, knowing what these creatures were capable of, how would you react? Would you make the same choices he did? It's a question that challenges us to consider what we would do in such extreme circumstances.
It's a harsh reminder that even the people we love can be capable of shocking and hurtful actions when pushed to their limits. And in this case, the stakes are incredibly high, with Sarah's very existence hanging in the balance. It really makes you wonder how well we truly know the people around us, even those closest to us.
And then there's this whole idea of reality itself being distorted, manipulated. Everything leading up to Sarah's abduction, those strange events, the impossible video on her phone, the existence of the doppelganger, it all suggests that what we perceive as real might be more fragile and malleable than we think.
It's like the story is playing with our sense of perception, blurring the lines between what's real and what's imagined, what's human and what's alien. It's both fascinating and unsettling, and it really makes you question your own perception of reality. What if everything we think we know is just a carefully constructed illusion? It's a thought that can really send you down a rabbit hole.
Exactly. And that, I think, is what makes Hybrid such a powerful and thought-provoking story.
Uh-huh.
It entertains, it terrifies, but it also challenges us to question our assumptions about the world and the people around us.
Well, I am more than ready to dive into the rest of this story and see how Sarah's journey unfolds. We've got a captivating heroine, a shadowy conspiracy, and a whole lot of unanswered questions. What happens when she finds herself alone in the woods, What resources does she use to fight back?
As we continue our deep dive into hybrid, we'll explore how Sarah navigates this terrifying new reality, the resources she uses to fight back, and ultimately what she discovers about herself and the forces she's up against.
This is going to be one wild ride. So buckle up and get ready for the next chapter of Hybrid. You know, it's wild how Hybrid takes that whole doppelganger thing
Yeah.
and turns it into something totally new with like the whole sci-fi twist.
Uh-huh.
It's not just Sarah fighting an evil twin. It's about her fighting against something that's trying to like erase her.
Exactly. It goes beyond just good versus evil.
Right.
It makes you think about what makes you you in a world where tech and aliens can just change who we are.
And the fact that she's totally alone just makes it so much worse.
Oh, yeah.
She has to rely on just her gut, her smarts, and whatever she can learn about this whole crazy situation.
It's like her being alone forces her to deal with not just the aliens, but like her own inner stuff, too.
Oh, that's deep.
It's a hero's journey, but like with a modern twist.
I like that. Makes you think how you'd handle something like that.
Right.
You know, stripped of everything, you know, forced to question everything. Would you keep going?
It really makes you think about yourself, doesn't it?
Yeah, like how strong are you, really?
That's what Hybrid makes you think about long after you're done reading it. Makes you consider your own weaknesses and strengths.
Absolutely. Would you just give up or find a way to survive?
And it reminds us that even when it seems hopeless, there's always a chance, a spark to fight back.
You know, Sarah's story, even though it's not finished, is like a powerful example of what humans can do.
Totally. To adapt, to resist, and to just keep going no matter what.
This whole deep dive into Hybrid has been insane.
I know, right?
We've talked about identity, trust, reality itself, and we've seen this woman pushed to her limits facing these crazy horrors.
And through it all, she never gives up.
Never. She chooses to fight back even when it's like impossible.
That's what makes this story so awesome. It gives you more questions than answers and makes you think about all the what-ifs.
Totally. It even makes you think about how you would handle the challenges in your own life. Who knows? Maybe we'll do another deep dive sometime and find out what happens to Sarah.
Yeah, maybe.
But for now, we're left with those questions. You know, the ones that make you look over your shoulder and check your mirror twice.
Well, until next time, stay curious, stay engaged, and most importantly, stay vigilant. The world's full of mysteries, and sometimes those mysteries are closer than we think.